Well, it looks like it's going to be a chase in vain for the Delhi Capitals as that game reaches its final stages. We will have you covered and look back at what went wrong for David Warner's side, assuming Rajasthan do get the job done, which seems highly likely. But we build up now to our second game on Saturday on ESPN Cricket for T20 timeout. It's the big one. It's Mumbai Indians against the Chennai Super Kings. 9 titles between them. But it's a different time now to be playing the Mumbai Indians. It's the back of their worst ever IPL season. They've already started this one with a loss at the Chinnaswamy to RCB. And it's a CSK team now, which may have its own challenges when it comes to bowlers and bowling at the death. But they are confident after a win at the Chepauk against Lucknow. So we look at that game and we'll have you covered for Rajasthan Delhi a little later. Shaun Tait still with me, and we'll also hear from Tom Moody. MI-CSK has its charm. Is that rivalry still right up there, or has it taken a slight spiral downturn with what happened to both teams last year?
Yeah, I mean, it's still right up there, obviously. Big franchises, but I suppose it's a weird way to explain it, but maybe they look like they're going through a bit of a rebuild. Obviously keeping hold of their experienced players have been around a long time, Dhoni's and these guys. But yeah, both teams are sort of, I feel like, shuffling through for a couple of seasons, trying to work out their next run towards a title maybe. Yep,
yeah, it's a big deal for us when we work in the media or follow it from a fan point of view. Tom, has it ever been a big deal beyond these two franchises for the rest of the league? Oh, it's MI-CSK.
Yeah, it has, because they're so successful at winning trophies. You know, between them, they've won 9 trophies, and that is an incredible feat in itself. We all know how difficult it is to win an IPL trophy, and they have dominated the IPL since its inception. So, you know, they're phenomenal franchises, extremely well run, and you know, they've already created a legacy. Even so, the IPL is still in its infant stages.
Yep, and it is a game we're looking forward to. It's a game that is perhaps lost its sheen a little tonight because some of the big names you were hoping to see in action, some of the best players in the world feature in these two teams, regardless of Mumbai's troubles or CSK's concerns on their bowling. But there are some superstars missing. We'll go to toss news first, which is MS Dhoni's won it. Chennai will bowl first. No surprises there in the first game at the Wankhede in a while. But the big news for Mumbai is there's no Jofra Archer. Rohit Sharma says at the toss it is precautionary. Matt Roller, who was with us earlier in the days at the Wankhede, said he saw Jofra do some fitness drills which didn't look like he was going to play. He was just running around from one side of the ground to the other. So no Jofra Archer. Precaution, says Rohit Sharma. Shaun Tait's had his share of elbow trouble. This is not a good thing, even if we are to take Rohit on his word that it's just precautionary.
Yeah, he's obviously coming off quite a big layoff from international cricket, IPL cricket, whatever, and obviously Mumbai showed that faith and well, not faith, but obviously for their franchise, it's a big guy to have. But if he's not going to play, that's a different thing. Precautionary sounds great. It sounds better than he's injured and he's going to be out for half a tournament. So maybe they're going to manage him, game on, game off, couple of games, that sort of thing, I suppose. So he's a huge player, and I think a sigh of relief, through the Chennai camp, not having to face him.
Their last game was on last Sunday. So they've had 6 days off.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem like it's a workload management thing,
No.
if you put it that way. This clearly is something which has made Jofra not fit enough to play today. And your experience with elbow injuries tells you this is expected.
Yeah, I think, speaking to people over the last sort of 6 months or so and talking about Jofra and having elbow injuries, I'm not sure the actual details of his injury, but or his problem. But I know myself, trying to bowl at that pace with a bad elbow can last a career type thing. So managing so important with this sort of injury. If it is his elbow, I'm not sure what the details are, but it is hard, and to try and run in a bowl at pace, which he's always going to be expected to do. That's his bread and butter. Is difficult with a niggle like that.
Tom, not good. This is it.
No, it's not a good sign, but we certainly were aware at the beginning of the IPL that Jofra Archer wasn't going to play every game, and they were going to manage him. Now, you make a good point, as in the last game that Mumbai played was Sunday, but there just may be, some sort of niggle there that they want to get on top of. And you can guarantee that the England Cricket Board and Mumbai Indians will be very much in conversation on a daily basis around Jofra and managing him and getting updates to where he's at physically. So, they'll be working in partnership and making sure that both parties benefit.
All right, more from that when we hear more. But let's also tell you the England Cricket Board is going to be in touch with the CSK dugout as well. 2 changes for the Super Kings, both forced. Ben Stokes is injured and Moeen Ali is unwell. So that bug that Tom Moody's been carrying around has passed over to the Chennai dugout as well. But we can understand Moeen as a lost player of the match in the last game. Stokes injured as well, Tom. We did see him bowl perhaps earlier than expected. Just the 1 over in that last game against Lucknow. Is that a big miss as well for Chennai?
Yeah, I'd be intrigued to know what the injury is, whether it's the reoccurrence of his knee. We know that he's got a long-term knee issue that will eventually need surgery. But yeah, look, that is a concern for Ben Stokes and Chennai that, given so early on in the tournament, given that he's only bowled an over or 2 and hasn't spent a lot of time out in the middle, that he's carrying an injury. So I'd be intrigued to know what the injury is and the extent of it.
No Stokes. He did bowl that last game, but does that balance it out a little, that Stokes and Moeen, 2 key players for Chennai, aren't in?
Well, it certainly changes my prediction, but it's, I think, 2 big-time players, as big as it gets really in IPO and T20 cricket. With Stokes, again, not knowing all the details, but obviously it's going to be interesting going forward for Chennai because there is an Ashes around the corner and this sort of thing. And it's pretty, we're all well aware of Stokes's intentions in Test cricket and where he puts that compared to an IPL. And, he's one of the few players that probably has been vocal about that, his international commitments, I suppose. So, yeah, it's an interesting one going forward for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, they have got in Ajinkya Rahane, Chennai, and Dwayne Pretorius. So it's not the players you want missing, Tom, but the inclusion of Pretorius, firstly, does give them a little more at the depth.
Yeah, I think, that's one positive that they can take from it is the Pretorius will definitely strengthen their capabilities with the ball throughout the innings and in particular at the back end because he's got that good change of pace. Certainly won't have the impact with the bat that Stokes has, but certainly is more than useful coming in the latter part of the inning. So Rahane, a lot of experience, knows Wankhede Stadium like the back of his hand. So I'm sure he'll enjoy the invitation to bat on that surface.
Yeah, it's another you can add to the list of CSK, Teddy. They tend to find these players that seem to almost be exiled by other franchises or at the twilight of their career. The Raidus or the Robin Uthapas. Now Ajinkya Rahane has gone there. He's going to make his IPL debut for CSK. But somehow when they go to CSK, we still don't think they're done yet. They find something out of them.
I think, I don't know, I mean, looking into it from afar a bit, you hear about the environment there with Fleming and Dhoni, and I think they create quite a relaxed atmosphere, I suppose. And I think if you're going towards the end of your career, that's sort of, most of the time, that's what you're after. You can sort of do your own thing, train how you might like to train. Sometimes when you're with a younger group, maybe a new team like a Lucknow or Gujarat, your setup's a bit different and there's different expectations. But I think with an experienced franchise like this, maybe it's a perfect place to go when you're in your last few years of cricket.
Yeah, we're just gonna wait for confirmed team news with the impact subs and whatnot. Decision to bowl first, a straightforward one, Tom, at the Wankhede?
Yeah, it is. We tend to see that's a pretty standard decision if you win the toss. So we do know that the ground here in Mumbai at the Wankhede does tend to attract the dews, so it does make it difficult for the teams that field second. So it's a bit of a no-brainer if you win the toss.
What did Mumbai take from their last game, Tom, especially with bat? A top order collapse is not the ideal way to start, but would they be looking to change anything that they did with bat first 8 or 9 overs that you saw against RCB? Are we expecting Tilak Verma to stay where he was?
Yeah, look, his innings was remarkable, wasn't it? Look, I think the message that would have gone through the Mumbai camp would be, look, let's don't panic. It's so early on in the campaign. They've got a new coach in Mark Boucher, so everything's very new for him as well. And I'm sure he will be putting his stamp amongst the group and how he expects everyone to approach each game. And I would imagine, not having spent any time in a dressing room with him, but I'd imagine, knowing the character, he'd have a pretty relaxed approach to to the game situation, even though it can be a very, very intense environment. Again, it's only a game in. Yes, they do need to get some points on the board, but I'm sure that they'll do it, or they'll certainly do their best to try to do it in their first home game.
Yep, it is a formidable home record that Mumbai enjoy. It's perhaps taken a bit of a beating with that IPL at Mumbai last year, where they didn't have a good time of it. But fact remains, in their prime, in those years that they won trophies, the Wankhede did become a bit of a fortress. Now, their team news is interesting. This is a batting first team, remember, and they've named Jason Behrendorff in a playing 11, which is the change forced by Jofra Archer's injury. The other one is Nehal Vadera, who actually played a handy little innings along with Tilak Varma in the last game against Bangalore. But Tristan Stubbs will complete the overseas complement, so he starts for Mumbai after being available from international duty. Brevis was available last game, but Stubbs was still with the national side. So Stubbs plays straight away. Is that an acceptance almost of the way the batting went in the last game, Tom, that Tristan Stubbs starts?
Yeah, look, he's more your middle order specialist, isn't he? Brevis is more, you'd expect to see him either opening or batting three. So I sort of feel that he fits in because of more so his entry point in the top order against anything else.
All right, Tristan Stubbs, what you like what you see of him so far?
Yeah, I've seen a bit of him actually. He's quite good. And he's strong as well. He can give it a whack. So if he's in, Moves is right. He's that middle order player. But if he's in those last few overs, he's dangerous and he can clear the fence for sure. But I think ultimately, I mean, Rowett and guys like Surya and these guys, that's where it's going to be at, I think, for Mumbai for sure. Yeah.
Yep. They need their big guns to fire. It didn't look like a Surya Kumar Yadav that was at the peak of his powers in the last game. He's coming at the back of those almost bizarre 3 first ball ducks in the ODI series against Australia. How Mumbai would like for him to fire on a day like this. Other than that, it's the same team. So you do feature the bowling to largely be carried by now Behrendorff in the absence of Archer. Arshad Khan, Ritik Shaukin, Piyush Chawla, the subs bench, which you think will in all likelihood include more bowling options. There's Sandeep Warrior, who came in as the named replacement for Jasprit Bumrah. You've got Ramandeep Singh there, and you've got Arjun Tendulkar, who for the first time features in a potential Mumbai start sheet. So that's interesting. Let's look at the Chennai team first up and see how that's going. So it looks like this team, which is going to bowl first, will have Tushar Deshpande named in its 11. He's been the impact sub, brought in second innings in both games so far. You've got Deepak Chahar there. Santner and Jadeja have spin responsibilities in the absence of Moeen Ali. And you've got Sisanda Magala, who plays. So they replaced Stokes and Moeen with Pretorius and a debut for Magala, who was the replacement player also named for CSK. I think once they lost Kyle Jamieson, I think it was, right? Thoughts, Tom, that even Magala plays?
Yeah, it's a no-brainer that he comes into the side. He's coming into into the IPL, his very first IPL, with some really good form under his belt. He's done well for South Africa. He did very well in the SA T20 league. He's an interesting bowler in that I think he's a little bit quicker than a lot of people expect, and he's got a very good change of pace. So, that sort of variety you'll certainly put him in good stead playing at the Wankhede Stadium, where you can't be too predictable, otherwise you're disappearing into the stands.
Yeah, just looking at that team one more time, get Shaun Tait's thoughts too. The question for Chennai, Teddy, has been about their death bowling and whether Deepak Chahar, Tushar Deshpande with his experience is the answer. But suddenly with Stokes and Moeen not playing and having Pretorius and Magala, they seem to have perhaps that aspect covered.
I think it tidies that up a bit at the death. Absolutely. I think Magala can bowl a good Yorker as well. He's more than capable. And you're right. Pretorius has had enough. I mean, Pretorius is quite good through the middle as well. But he's more than capable again at the death. So it does for their bowling. It certainly looks a bit more experienced, and it certainly does look a bit better because they've had some inexperience, with a couple of young pacers as well at the start of the tournament. So, not a bad option in the end for Chennai. Sure.
Yeah, just looking at that top order, it's a question for the second innings, Tom, but you wouldn't possibly think of displacing Gaikwad and Conway. So Rahane will bat 3, maybe Dubey 4 in the absence of Stokes and Ali?
I'd be very surprised if Rahane doesn't bat 3. Dubé has found himself in a couple of batting positions that have surprised us in the past, but I think the predictable number 3 is Rahane, and then Dubé 4. But we've been surprised before.
Yeah, it looks like we'll wait and see how they go about it. But Hangargekar has been dropped to the bench. You think he was a better bowling option for them? We haven't seen him bat, though he can bat. We'll wait and see what CSK choose to do with that impact sub. But that's the game that is coming our way now. Let's quickly wrap up the afternoon game, which has now come to an end. And it's come to a slightly tame end for the Delhi Capitals. They're going to fall well short of that score against the Rajasthan Royals. So that's 3 defeats out of 3 for David Warner, who batted a long time in that innings, but just could not get anyone to support him or get the gears that you need in a 200-run chase. Tom, how do you sum up that game? It's another tame defeat for Delhi.
Yeah, look, it was really puzzling, to be honest with you, because, obviously chasing 200, you need to be firing a few shots and, throwing a few punches. And it seemed that certainly through David Warner's innings, there was very few punches thrown by him. A lot of the big shots that he was trying to play, he was playing down into the ground, where historically, when he's taking on the game, he'll be taking on the game and hitting the ball over mid-wicket for 6. So, yeah, it was interesting because, for him to bat for 55 balls, which is nearly half the innings, for just 65 runs, you're not winning too many games chasing 200. So, again, that's something that I'm sure he'll have to consider, and Ricky Ponting will have to consider, what's going on at the top of the order. It doesn't help when you lose 2 wickets in the first over. Trent Boult was, again, phenomenal with that new ball. That does put pressure on you as an opener and the top order as an entirety. But at the end of the day, you've got to move on from that and try to chase down what's in front of you.
Yeah, I think Warner will be a talking point here, Teddy, because it's not the first time we've seen him with this sort of reserved, measured T20 approach. It's copped him some criticism. It's one thing to say you look at the rest of that team and Warner was losing partners, but if he bats that deep, you still expect Warner to go down fighting with a better sort of return, striking at 118, not a single 6 in that entire innings, let alone from just David Warner. What do you make of his T20 batting these days?
I don't know. I think when you, like Moods was sort of saying, I tend to agree. If you're chasing 170 or something, you can take that approach more often. You lose a couple of early wickets, and that was basically the game right there, the early wickets. But you're chasing 200, you just got to go, don't you? I mean, your chances of winning anyway are slim. But to take it away from you, you got to go after it, and especially when you got someone like a Power maybe there as well, who can also do the same thing down the lower order. You sort of got a bit more of a luxury with a guy like him to get after, So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see going forward what they're going to do. They're in a bit of a pickle at the moment. Haven't had a great start to the tournament, so.
Is the problem seems to go beyond Warner as well, though, Tom? I mean, how do you balance that out? Is Warner's approach also hurting them regardless, or are we looking at others now and saying that looks like a Delhi batting that's low on runs, low on confidence, low on pretty much everything?
Yeah, I think it's low on confidence. Prithvi Shaw's a bit of a puzzle, but I was actually just thinking about it. He was sitting on the subs bench for the whole first innings and then suddenly gets injected into the game. And I just wonder what that effect has on a player. And this is a very new thing to the game. But what that effect has on a player that suddenly is disengaged in the game, then suddenly gets engaged into the game and, right, okay, I want you to go out there and play your role as an opener. We're chasing 200, go. And what that's like mentally, to be able to start cold like that. I don't think we have considered that, and I don't think maybe teams have considered that, how to get players in the right frame of mind mentally to be able to be ready to go as if they've just come off the field and been involved in that fielding experience of chasing, chasing around the field with the ball disappearing, and then you're engaged in the game that way.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point Tom Moody makes, because if I just quickly look at the list of impact players that have been subbed in, the only two that have been subbed in this fashion to go out and open the batting after 20 overs of bowling have been Venkatesh Iyer in the game against Punjab, and he didn't open the batting, he came in later. So that means Prithvi Shaw is the only one to have actually done this. Perhaps even more challenging for an opening bat. You think a bowler, if he's coming in second innings and not bowling the first over, he can sort of settle, but Tom makes quite the point of starting cold.
Absolutely, and I think on that we've had a small sample size so far, so going forward it's going to be interesting to see continuity in the tactics through impact players, I suppose. Is it going to be the same sort of guys doing the same job? Is it conversations from the coaching staff down to the guys that are expected to do what Shaw's has done? You know, is it going to... So through the tournament, I'd be interested to see how that goes, and if players then come to expect it, if they handle it better. But it's so early on, and it's such a new thing, then maybe, Moods is right, maybe it has affected him in that way.
All right, let's credit Rajasthan Royals. They were excellent in this game. They did get the job done in spite of a slight slowdown in the middle, which you can understand. But Trent Bolt pretty much killed the game off, or at least put it towards them with his opening spell. How does Trent Bolt get the ball to swing when no one else seems to get it to move an inch?
We spoke about that, the Kookaburra ball not swinging as much anymore, but I think the rubber, the green, the conditions, the lights coming on, and that was a good time to bowl with a new ball, I suppose, if you're a swing bowler. Sandeep got the ball to move as well, whereas Delhi, I'm sure Warner was facing going, we didn't move the ball off the straight at all, and now I come out and have to face these guys. So that was the game for me, just that new ball swinging around early wickets,
He's been good before, Tom. He won a championship with Mumbai. He's been very good for Rajasthan last year. But do you sense where he is now with his cricket, freelancing, not centrally contracted, focusing on this? It seems to have almost liberated him, made him even more dangerous, or is this still the same Trent Bolt that's been Trent Bolt all these years?
I think it's the same Trent Bolt. He's a slick customer. He's a high quality new ball bowler and has been for a long time. I think that's his third occasion he's taken 2 wickets in his first over in IPL. So he stands alone with that stat. That's quite phenomenal. His impact in the power play and his threat as a new ball bowler is quite significant. And that's why he's a sought after commodity. And left arm as well. There's nothing better than having, someone that can swing the ball as a left armer. It does expose a lot of the right-hand batsmen falling across their off stump, like Manish Pandey did. And then that one that just nips away from the right-hander as well.
All right, well done, Trent Bolt. But let's make a mention for R. Ashwin as well, who seems to have had his most impressive start to an IPL season since I can remember from the last few years. Economical, getting wickets, 1 for 27 in his first game against Sunrisers, 1 for 25 against Punjab, and 2 for 25 today, and key blows too. That Robman Powell wicket you thought was crucial to just finish off any chance that they'd have. Ashwin seems to have started better than he has. Tom, is he noticing anything different?
No, I'm not noticing anything different, but, you're talking about a very seasoned campaigner that knows his game inside out, and he's got the ball on a string. Interesting enough, the commentators were talking about how he's bowling a higher percentage of off breaks now than the variety that he has done previously, and the percentage of runs off his off breaks against the other variety is a lot less. But so he's found a consistency with what works. And he's such a clever, canny bowler. His real strength is his subtle change of pace and the great experience he has around navigating how to knock a player over. I did you mentioned about Robman Powell. I felt sorry for him because, the game was gone really by the time he comes to the crease. It's nearly like, right, we want you to start to climb Everest from below base camp. He had no other choice but to try to hit the ball out of the ground where no one before him was attempting to do it. He must have been sitting there very, very frustrated before and after that innings thinking, how's that happened?
Yeah, it's again a funny one that you have 200 to get. You've got this big hitter and somehow you've put him in almost a position where he needs to hit a boundary or ball when he's entered.
Well, you mentioned it off screen. They sort of sent Axar in. And I don't know. I haven't thought about it, looked into it. You hope it's not over-analysing.
Well, Warner was batting with him. So
Yeah, exactly. So you don't. I'm trying to work out the reason for it, but I agree. I think you got to get him. If you're chasing 200, and you're in trouble, you just got to get the guy that can clear the ropes in there. Absolutely.
Yeah. Ashwin and Chahal were going to be the difference, though. We thought on what was still a good wicket to bat. I think so. Just the quality of the spin. Yeah,
you mentioned the pre-game the experience of those guys. So when your quicks have taken early wickets, then you got to try and score off those two. It's a great thing for Rajasthan going forward. If your quicks are going to swing it and take wickets, and you got to try and deal with those two through the middle. It's a good bowling lineup. Yeah.
Yep, and it backed off what we now must commend, a fine match-winning innings by Josh Butler, Yashasvi Jaiswal. We spoke about him on our innings break show. Excellent and ever improving. But Josh Butler held it together because after that they needed Hetmeyer to give them the push towards the end. But Butler held it all together. Tom, nothing that we've not seen from Josh Butler before, but what was special about today's innings in particular?
Yeah, look, I think Butler, I think the impressive thing with Butler is the consistency he brings to the table. It's not every day that he's going to be striking at 180, to 200, which we do get from time to time. But what we did get was an innings where he was happy and prepared to watch a young Indian star, go at 180, 190, and he was quite happy to sit in the back seat and operate around the 140, 150 mark. But he recognised once Jaiswal got out that he had to take it a little bit deeper to ensure that they did maximise their total. So again, just showing his experience around, what it takes to, set a competitive total.
He almost seems like a rare breed, Teddy, in the sense that batters who go hard initially, if they slow down, they struggle, they get out. Or batters that take their time, then accelerate and make up. Butler goes hard, then he changes gears, and then he's more than ready to go hard again, which perhaps not a lot of batters can do, have almost 3 different gears in the same innings.
Yeah, I think he's quite well known for his, obviously there's a reason why he's white ball captain of England. He's intelligent cricketer, goes about his business very well and thinks about the game really well. And obviously you've got Sampson there as captain, but I think Joss is sort of probably the main leader in the group, you would think, and I'm thinking has a huge influence on decisions made in the franchise, I would think. Their game plan, strategy, and a great guy to have for Sanju as well to lean on.
All right, very good from Josh Butler. Right, MICSK is underway. Rohit Sharma's taking down Deepak Chahar, which Tom Moody said would be a very interesting matchup in our preview. How Deepak Chahar would bowl to Rohit Sharma if the ball gets a little bit of movement at the Wankhede, which it can. Tom, prediction, am I batting first? No Chopra Archer, CSK with more bowling. What do you think they'll get?
Well, Mumbai are stacked full of batting, so I'm expecting him to get a big total because they'll need a big total. So I'm talking around about 194.
Okay, 194. Shaun Tait?
Yeah, I think Chennai, the bowling looks really, really good all of a sudden, but they're probably missing a batsman in there somewhere, but they got great finishes. I'm still going to stick with Chennai, I think.
Mumbai's first innings score?
Well, Mumbai. Look, it's going to be a big score. 185. I don't know. What a boring prediction.
185.
Yeah, what a boring prediction.
Well, 185 is not bad. What a boring prediction would have been yesterday. That Lucknow, where you got like 120 or something. All right, fair enough. Tom, Shaun, more from you at the end of the Mumbai innings. So look forward to your company then on ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout. Do download our mobile app as well while you're at it. Head to the App Store or Play Store and download it right away. Fastest live scores and all the updates from the IPL. I'm sure there's plenty that'll be written and said after that Delhi performance against Rajasthan, who now have won 2 out of 3 and are looking good as they finish off 2 games at their adopted home in Guwahati. We'll see you at the end of the Mumbai innings.